Modern life is pretty fast-paced, which means you need fast-paced transport to keep up. That's where Malaysia's long-planned Kuala Lumpur to Singapore high-speed rail, KLSG HSR, came into play. However, unless you've been living beneath a coconut under a rock in the middle of nowhere, you'd have probably heard that the KLSG HSR has had somewhat of a troubled history. So what's the deal with this mode of transportation today? And how would it affect the property market at all? Let's talk about it. Hello, and welcome to Building the Future. In today's video, we are going to give you exclusive details about Singapore's $11 billion high-speed rail project has left the world in shock. So make sure to watch the video till the end to find out more. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing videos. With the close economic and cultural ties between Singapore and Malaysia, it makes sense to support the building of closer logistical ties as well. The ability to travel between the two countries is a significant benefit for citizens of these neighboring nations. Yet, we all know those logistics aren't always as easy as we might like. Trains between Malaysia and Singapore are a fairly tangled and inefficient option as it stands, with journeys taking up to 10 hours and often including multiple connections. The pressure on road connections suffers from its own particular set of problems, with massive traffic jams causing delays and bringing out the worst side of drivers. Therefore, high-speed rail had been discussed as a way of tackling these challenges as far back as the 1990s. Various analysis projects over the years rejected the idea, based on the significant economic costs. However, a more committed approach over the last decade finally saw an agreement reached. So it was in 2013 that Malaysia's then Prime Minister Najib Razak and Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong signed up our respective nations to develop the HSR project. So what was the HSR supposed to bring to both tables? HSR aims to reduce travel times along the 350-kilometer route between Kuala Lumpur and Singapore to just 90 minutes, creating a new era of connectivity between these partner nations. This complex and comprehensive project was set to deliver the HSR link alongside a domestic service from KL to Iskandar Puteri, as well as a shuttle service from Iskandar Puteri to Jurong East. As if the excitement of superfast train travel wasn't good enough, there were also plans to develop superfast customs arrangements to complement the service. In addition, Singapore-Malaysia customs facilities were planned at Bandar Malaysia in KL, Iskandar Puteri in Johor, and Jurong East. The end result was intended to deliver speedy yet efficient international travel that was cooler than an ice kekang. The KLSG HSR agreement was signed in 2016, committing both nations to this RM50 60 billion project. And the aim was to have this visionary infrastructure project completed by 2026. Then things changed. So what was the HSR controversy? Well, with the sudden change in government during the 2018 elections, time was taken to reassess many of the financial commitments made under the previous administration. This cost-checking initiative formed part of a wider view to reduce Malaysia's RM1 trillion debt that was controversially inherited from the previous administration. The current Prime Minister, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, expressed concern about the significant cost of the HSR project as part of a wider review of the scheduled mega-projects in Malaysia. So having originally called for a cancellation of the project, it was later announced that the project would instead be temporarily suspended. With the concern about costs fresh in mind, alongside an assessment of the economic benefits and penalties of cancellation, HSR remained in a kind of infrastructure limbo until 2020. Now, what happened to the HSR in 2020? It would be fair to say that the original announced cancellation of the KLSG HSR project caused a little bit of friction between Malaysia and Singapore. On one hand, the Malaysian government was rightly concerned about the affordability of the HSR project, as well as the long-term financial implications. On the other hand, the Singapore government was a little vexed at the costs already sunk into this massive infrastructure project. Thankfully, the respective governments did their best to address this issue as quickly. It's not unfair to say that Malaysia paying $15 million reimbursement for the cost of delays to Singapore has almost certainly helped smooth those relations. As a result of discussions, Malaysia and Singapore had explored ways to reduce the cost of the HSR project. creating a more affordable development that still unlocks the substantial projected benefits for each country. One such possible solution was to reduce the speed of the trains, with Tun Mahathir Mohamad stating that it's not necessary for it to be traveling at 400 km/h. The deadline for this assessment on how to adjust and balance the project was till 31 May 2020, after which the suspension period agreed between the two countries expired. While Singapore was still largely committed to developing this state-of-the-art transport link for high-speed efficiency, it conceded time to Malaysia in order to ensure the best possible outcome for both countries. Under the deferment, the long-planned HSR service was tentatively envisioned to be completed by January 2031. So if we aren't all using flying cars by then, we would have a shiny new train to use instead. Talking about the situation of the project in the previous year, on 1 January 2021, it was regrettably announced that the bilateral agreement for the KLSG high-speed rail would be terminated, as both countries were not able to come to a satisfactory conclusion that's beneficial for both. Now, while it may seem that this is the end of the rail for this mega project, there's still hope that it could be revived in the future once Malaysia is able to deal with the economic crisis that came from COVID-19 and its political turmoil. There are also talks that Malaysia is considering a domestic HSR network instead, stretching from Kuala Lumpur to Johor Bahru. However, experts are divided on the matter, with some saying that the spending involved in the Malaysia-only project would be able to benefit local construction firms. Others believe that it would not work out in the long run, as there's already a line from KL to JD. Another railway line would be redundant. It is likely to become a white elephant or a long python stretching from KL to JB, said transportation consultant Moyes Chan. Moreover, public transport researcher SM Sabri SM Ismail is of the opinion that the government should explore the option to upgrade or extend existing infrastructure. I don't see any good terminal location in JB for a separate KL-JB HSR, but if a higher speed rail is really needed in JB, upgrading KTM's electric train service, ETS, and the KL-JB meter gauge tracks would make more sense. Now, what were the benefits of HSR, especially for the real estate market? The HSR project was projected to add RM21 billion to the economies of Singapore and Malaysia, creating 111,000 jobs by 2060. The long-term benefits for low-carbon travel were also seen as a significant plus point, reducing carbon emissions in travel between KL and Singapore. But the benefit to the property market was also set to be significant. First up was the case of substantial infrastructure developments spurred by the proposed KLSG HSR route. Adding to this, flagship developments like Bandar Malaysia represent the multi-billion ringgit tip of this lucrative iceberg, creating a huge urban redevelopment area which was set to benefit from its role as a national and international transport hub. While the Bandar Malaysia project has once again received the green light, the current gross development value of RM140 billion would undoubtedly be enhanced further by the addition of a KLSG high-speed rail terminal. And it's not just the endpoints of the line where development was set to deliver benefits. KLSG HSR was due to include other stations throughout Malaysia, located at Sepang Putrajaya, Seremban, Ayer Kiro, Muar, Batu Pahat, and Iskandar Puteri, before finally terminating at Jurong East. These 6 Malaysian stations would each enjoy the benefits of significant urban development and the consequent economic catalyst as a result. That means more jobs, more money flowing in, and at the end of it all, better links and opportunities for each local area. So with the hope of making this project a success, experts believe that the construction of an MRT route can add as much as 20% to property prices in nearby areas. Not bad if you pick the winner in that infrastructure race. And when all is said and done, the HSR Malaysia is undoubtedly an expensive project. So it stands to reason that there should be detailed studies and careful planning to ensure that both the countries stands to benefit without any unnecessary additional spendings. I hope you enjoyed the video. We will be back soon with more amazing content, so stay tuned. And don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our latest updates. You can always change your mind later. Thanks for watching.